We are back for our midweek NFL DFS update, and after yesterday's Hurts pivot, we are making a few key reversals along with several holds. So here is what changed and why. At quarterback, we are moving back to Baker Mayfield at 6,400 against New Orleans, who have one of the worst defenses overall at opponent rank 23. He is projected 20 with 20 fantasy points per game and recent logs of 30, 20, and 12, and he is coming in around 11.2% owned. The why is ownership leverage at a fair salary in a soft overall matchup, plus sticky volume. The news flow backs the ceiling case even after a down game, with multiple pieces noting he has been putting up MVP-level numbers and also flagging that the Detroit loss was more about officiating noise than a signal on his form, including Essentially Sports headlines on the refs, and a Week 8 rankings note that discussed his dip while still framing him among this season's risers. Yesterday we preferred Hurts for dual threat floor. Today we prefer Baker for price-adjusted leverage and matchup. We are keeping Dylan Gabriel as the salary saver at 4,200 versus New England, who have a tough defense overall at opponent rank 10. He is projected 14 with recent 16, 9, and 6 at about 3.33% ownership. The why is unchanged. This is strictly large field cost relief, with projections still unreliable because he has not started more than 3 games. The news cycle keeps him viable as a punt, with Terry Bradshaw praise, Dan Patrick pushing back on the narrative, and write-ups on his first home win, even amid officiating chatter. Use sparingly, running back is a change. We are moving off yesterday's Jonathan Taylor anchor and onto Cam Scatterbo at 6,600 versus Philadelphia, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall at opponent rank 19. He is projected 14 with 17 per game, and recent 31, 18, and 15 at only 3.27% ownership. The why is salary relief with real touch, count upside, and a demonstrated ceiling, plus a matchup he has already punished. News this week has the Giants' rookie duo of Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo called unstoppable in their earlier meeting with the Eagles. And while the league office handed out fines related to that game, it confirms how featured Scatterbo is in this offense. Low ownership, bankable role, and a middle-of-the-pack. Defense overall make this our preferred RB pivot, midweek. For deep value only, Rasheen Ali at 4,000 versus Chicago, who have one of the worst defenses overall at opponent rank, 25, is a true punt with near zero ownership. The why is simple. You are betting on a talent profile in a soft overall matchup with an uncertain role. Not for cash, only for large field salary unlocks. At wide receiver, we are staying put on Jamar Chase at 8,100 against the Jets, who have one of the worst defenses overall at opponent rank 24. He is projected 20 with 23 per game, and a heater of 41, 25, and 32, and ownership around 24.63%. The why has not changed. Alpha target share, slate-breaking yards after catch, and current news is supportive with DFS analyst Mike McClure, highlighting him and multiple pieces, noting that he matched Jimmy Smith's mark. We remain overweight. We keep Marvin Mims Jr. as our value receiver at 3,900 versus Dallas, who have the absolute worst defense overall at opponent rank 32. He projects 8 with recent 16, 5, and 4 and near zero ownership. The why is the same as yesterday. Downfield leverage against the absolute worst defense overall with sleeper buzz from the Sporting News, and a price that opens Bills tight end is another reversal. We are moving off yesterday's Evan Engram stance and back onto Tyler Warren at 5,500 against Tennessee, who have one of the worst defenses overall at opponent rank 22. He is projected 13 with 15 per game, and recent 17, 18, and 14 at about 8.27% ownership. The why is role plus efficiency in a soft overall matchup. The news has been strong since week 1, with multiple reports saying no one has started better. He led the Colts in catches in his debut. and he has stacked consistent production. At modest ownership, we buy the floor and red zone equity. If you need a punt, Jeremy Ruckert at 2,500 versus Cincinnati, who have one of the worst defenses overall at opponent rank 30, is viable at about 1.13% owned with a recent spike game 2 weeks back and quiet weeks around it. The Y is routes at the stone minimum in a soft overall matchup. You are hunting one end zone target to make the build work. Flex is a change. We are moving from yesterday's Bijan exposure to Devonta Smith at 5,900 against the Giants, who have one of the worst defenses overall at opponent rank 29. He is projected 15 with 15 per game, and recent 36, 9, and 22 at about 21.63% ownership. The Y is price-adjusted ceiling in a soft overall matchup with game environment correlation. Even with headlines noting Jalen Hurts did not have a great game against the Giants, Smith's week-winning spike shows how his downfield role can still erupt. We prefer the savings and the matchup to unlock spend-ups elsewhere. Defense is a pivot back. We are moving from yesterday's Falcons take to the Texans defense at 3,000 versus San Francisco, who have one of the worst defenses overall at opponent rank 20. They are projected 8 with recent outputs of 14, 11, and 3, and about 5.73% ownership. The Y is price-adjusted access to pressure with proven recent scoring and middling ownership. If you need a punt, the Giants' defense at 2,100 against Philadelphia, who have a tough defense overall at opponent rank 9, projects 5 with about 4.67% ownership. That is only for lineups that fade Hurts and play for an ugly divisional script. Quick recap of changes and holds. We moved back to Baker from yesterday's Hurts pivot because the ownership plus matchup and supportive MVP-level news offer a strong leverage profile. We shifted our RB anchor from Jonathan Taylor to Cam Scatterbo for salary relief with real ceiling and a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. We held Jamar Chase on alpha usage and supportive news. We reversed tight end to Tyler Warren on roll and a soft overall matchup backed by early career reports. We pivoted flex to Devonta Smith for price-adjusted ceiling against one of the worst defenses overall, and we slid defense to the Texans for recent scoring and a fair tag. Value-wise, we keep Dylan Gabriel as thin salary relief, with projections still not fully reliable. We maintain Marvin Mims Jr. for exposure to the absolute worst defense overall. We bring back Jeremy Ruckert as the min-price punt, and Rasheen Ali plus the Giants' defense are emergency salary savers only. We will keep tracking ownership and late news. As always, our Y is anchored in matchup language, role, and the current news cycle that supports each projection.